The Alien Dreadnought Factory is a bit of a wacky take on the autonomous factory. So I started here about 3 years ago. Nobody knew about automation. So I was trying to get the culture and the buy-in on board. So it's one thing saying, oh, I got an AI agent or, I'm doing robots, etc. Nobody sees the vision. So if you start telling people, oh, I'm designing an Alien Dreadnought Factory, you immediately remember it. It's a bit of fun thing to talk about.
Welcome to Chain Reaction, the podcast for the supply chain and logistics industry. If you enjoy this conversation, don't forget to like and subscribe so you never miss an episode.
Hello and welcome back to the Chain Reaction podcast. I'm Michael, CEO of Flox Logistics Marketplace. The podcast is brought to you by Flox as a way to engage with logistics and industry professionals and to explore ideas, people, and innovation that is shaping the industry. Before we begin, please subscribe to the channel. It will help us grow and reach more people that will benefit from this conversation. Thank you. Today, I'm joined by Zen Gregory, a head of supply chain and automation at British Rototherm, and as well an architect behind what has become known as the Alien Dreadnought Intelligent Factory, which is quite an interesting thing. So I would love to talk to you about that then, Zen. So welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Michael. Great to be here.
Thank you. It's a very, very interesting concept. But before we jump there, I like asking people that question: whether your not just your current role, but the fact that you are in logistics in the supply chain space, whether that was by design or whether that was by accident. And I would love you to maybe gives the audience an interesting story of how you ended up where you are today.
Yeah. So my journey began quite a few years ago. My background has always been in automation and operations. So my first proper real job after university, I was stacking shelves in Amazon, and that was by far still my favorite job ever because I've learned the most I can in terms of fast-moving environment and logistics. Moving on from that, I became an area manager, again, developing skills in a very fast-moving warehouse. From that, I moved into dairy industry, so worked for multiple, again, fast-moving consumer goods. And then I kind of didn't really know what I wanted to do with my life, so I moved into purchasing. So I kind of went the wrong way around. Moved into purchasing and started working for sort of a medium-sized enterprises. Then I progressed into a general manager position, so I was managing a production site, all based in South Wales. And then the current job kind of was advertised, and I always wanted to be, again, not necessarily in production, but I wanted to be more in the supply chain. So that's sort of my traditional career, or not so traditional career. But I also had extreme passion in automation, robotics, like you can see behind me, the computer screens, the robots. That's my sort of hobby and passion. That's what I live through daily. So then I try to marry both of them, supply chain and automation, and it seems to work quite well in this setting.
Well, it's very interesting how you got here and how you can marrying the two. And this is actually kind of the topic of our today's conversation. I'd love to explore exactly kind of the automation in manufacturing in a supply chain setting, automation, the use of tech, the use of AI. We definitely get to that. But before we get there, I'm actually interested. Maybe a couple of words about the Rototherm business, but more interestingly, which is actually a fascinating name, is like, what is the Alien Dreadnought Intelligent Factory? It's quite a mouthful. So like, what's behind it? Where did it come from? What does it mean? Where does it go?
So British Rototherm been around since about 1847, so we're a very old, established, respected company globally. We manufacture the most precise instruments on planet Earth to measure either the temperature or the flow of liquids and gases through a pipe. So make very precise instruments. And the Alien Dreadnought Factory is a bit of a wacky take on the autonomous factory. So I started here about 3 years ago. Nobody knew about automation. So I was trying to get the culture and the buy-in on board. So it's one thing saying, "Oh, I got an AI agent," or I'm doing robots, etc. Nobody sees the vision. So if you start telling people, "Oh, I'm designing an alien dreadnought factory," you immediately remember it. It's a bit of fun thing to talk about. It's a bit wacky because you're talking about the alien dreadnought, but it sticks in your mind. And again, it's trying to incorporate um, the buy-in from the culture in manufacturing. People hate change, but by giving them sort of a vision and a wacky named vision, uh, encourages the buy-in from my team members and fellow colleagues.
Well, yeah, I kind of understand the use of the use of the name for a kind of attention seeking purposes type of thing, and then what it seeks. But do the words well, Alien Dreadnought and then Intelligent Factory, do they what kind of meaning they convey? So first of all, yeah, I sort of understand if somebody uses the word Intelligent Factory, I kind of understand that. Or at least I can guess what it may mean. Um, but Alien Dreadnought sounds, first of all, very military. So it's like, why is that? And then why Alien? It's like, what's kind of technically or conceptually, what sits behind it? What is it?
So basically, I want to have the most advanced factory to begin with in Wales, and then fingers crossed go globally. So that's where the alien comes in. So I'm not looking at all the technology that we currently have. I'm looking at all of the technology we develop. So I want to go through the main doors in a factory. There's lots of robots everywhere. Basically, a alien spaceship. So that's where the dreadnought comes from. Again, the coin dreadnought was kind of mentioned by Elon Musk. That's how he named his multiple of his factories, especially the SpaceX factory. But yeah, I kind of looking at it from, I don't know, 5, 10, 15 years into the future. I just want to open the doors, walk in, and there's robots flying everywhere, moving stuff. There's AI agents floating around. So it's that sort of concept of having highly sophisticated factory that replicates basically an alien spaceship. So imagine an alien spaceship lands tomorrow. That's what my factory is going to look like.
Right. Okay. Well, that's yeah. That's quite interesting because when I was thinking about kind of all of the automations, I think to many people they all think of Skynet and Terminator production, where is all everything is automated, everything is being kind of the manufactured, but they do because this is what the alien thing kind of throws me off a little bit. Not throws me off, but kind of gives a different spin to it. It's like fully automated but it still does stuff that you can recognize. You can see the robot arm moving and picking up bits, and you see some welding happening, and you see some, I don't know, some electric wires being put together. The alien thing is like, well, something just grows organically, and then which is something completely alien to our understanding. But this is no, this is interesting. So what I'm hearing, what you're saying is essentially the alien factory is effectively is kind of the approach, is the framework. It's not necessarily out of the box shed that has certain components and it produces something. It's actually approached in with which you can design production, with which you can design processes, the manufacturing steps. Is that so? I'm interested in is that approach is absolutely unique to your business, to Rototherm, or can it be applied to, I don't know, Ferrari factory or a chocolate bar manufacturing plant, let's say Cadbury's or something?
That's a very good question, actually, and I'll show you this poster behind me. We call it, yeah, it's a sort of the system that we designed internally. So we call it the Alien Dreadnought Automation System. So you might be familiar with the Toyota, the TPS production house. We kind of took a spin on that. So I'll talk you step by step on what it means. So the system can be just picked up and dropped into another factory or another. It doesn't have to be a manufacturing factory. It can be into just day-to-day processes or admin processes. So it doesn't have to go into manufacturing. But if you think about it as a house, the foundation, the thing that holds the entire house together, we put it down as the cultural change in people. Because without a buy-in from your workforce, which is your biggest asset in any company, nothing is going to flourish. So you can tell people, oh, I'm going to build robots, build robots. Your workforce is going to be extremely scared and probably will end up leaving and hating you. But if you bring them all together, incorporate, it flourishes. So that's the foundation, to have people and culture. The next step, sort of your floor, the nice oak floors that you have in your house, we putting down as continuous improvement, lean, Kaizen. So without starting to automate anything, you need to have processes. If you don't have a process, you're going to end up automating more rubbish, which will automate even more rubbish. You'll be creating a big rubbish pile. So you have processes, you have your culture, then you have the walls or the pillars of the house. So we separate into three. Basically, the three categories that we came up with are AI, so all of your AI generation, processing of data, and so on. Physical automation, so as you see behind me, the robots, and so on. And then data operations or data ops. So this is any data capture, data manipulation, data analytics. And then the roof, which is the vision pointing up, is the Alien Dreadnought. So that's how you build the house. And around the entire house, so everything that the mortar or the concrete that holds the house together, that's data integrity. So again, without any clean data, without facts and data, you can't really automate, or you will be again automating more rubbish, more waste. So you can pick this entire concept and you can put it into, let's say, a purely logistics business. Again, you have a buy-in from your team, from your staff. You then put processes in place, so you know you're going to collect a container that day, not a random day or whatever. Then you can maybe pick the data ops pillar, so you can integrate it into the application like you have, for example, and that drives your vision of the company.
That's very interesting, and it is, yeah, it does look like it is a framework. So, but you mentioned the roof, and that there's kind of the Alien Dreadnought. So, what does what role kind of does roof play? Is that one of the elements that kind of binds everything together? With, because I mean, on one hand, you do have one AI as one of the pillars, and everybody's kind of understanding is, well, AI supposedly is the one that brings intelligence, but you have it as one of the pillars. So and the dreadnought, kind of the roof and the binding bit is sits on top. So how do you how do you reconcile that, and what is the role of the roof in the house?
Yeah, so the roof is basically your vision. So it's whether it's your um, business vision or your personal vision, your departmental vision. It's it's what are you trying to achieve with all of this? So my roof, I'm trying to achieve the Alien Dreadnought, like again I said, the most intelligent factory. And how am I going to achieve the vision is everything that's supported underneath. So one of my parts of the vision is obviously AI. That's why it's the pillar there. Um, so yeah, basically, in layman's term, how am I going to achieve the most advanced factory? So that's the roof is pointing up, and then how can you build it to reach the said roof?
Right. Okay. Yeah, I understand, and it makes sense. So yeah, exactly. So you at as a foundation, at the foundation you have your people. At the top you have vision, and you have pillars supporting it. So I do want to talk a little bit about change management and the people and the conversion, but that is a kind of the fundamental that's a fundamental layer without which almost nothing is going to kind of be properly working. But let's talk first about the tech, because you did mention AI, you did mention data, and this is something that we are kind of the swimming in daily as well. And I absolutely agree with you. That is it's one of the most important kind of foundational kind of, it's almost like laws of physics for our existence. I mean, if you don't have good data, if you don't have the correct error-free, ideally, set of data, you're going to end up making suboptimal decision or business damaging decisions. But the interesting bit is and this is what the modern, I don't know, tech and kind of environment and the famous terms, AI. What is AI, and what are those intelligent agents? What does it mean to you? Because everyone says AI, but they mean different things. I've typed my email with use of ChatGPT. I'm AI user. Well, barely, but how does that fit? It's not ChatGPT that obviously powers this. So what is it? How it works? How it fits? That's a very interesting area. What are the practical, real, and tangible applications that you guys use?
We built we use ChatGPT, we use Claude, but we have built our own AI bots. Now, again, being a bit wacky, we don't call it AI bots, we call them AI employees. And if you look and open our company organizational structure, you literally will have, managing director sits at the top, board of directors, so on. In the automation, my employees are different AI bots, and I gave them names. So we have Alfred, we have Jeffrey. So Alfred is a butler from Batman. Hence, so they all butlers, and the theme is they my assistants. They help the company. So practical use. I'll give you a very good example. We have a big factory. HR sits one end of the factory, production sit the far end of the factory. Somebody has a HR question. They would stand up, they would walk across the entire length of the factory to the HR lady, ask her, how many days of annual leave do I have? Things like that can be answered by just a generative AI or a standard chatbot. So what we've done is we trained Alfred. So Alfred is our sort of we call him head of AI. He doesn't exist, but we call him head of AI. And I'll tell you why we humanize them as well. But so Alfred is trained on the entire company handbook, all of our processes, procedures. So literally, you can speak. I can phone Alfred now through Teams and say, "Hi, Alfred, how are you doing? How many days of annual leave do I have left?" And he'll answer me that. What is our HR policy on working from home, working remotely? He'll answer that. So he's trained on our HR policies. Jeffrey is our sales AI employee. Anytime customer sends us a sales order, it'll do an optical character recognition scan of the sales order and do the entire production planning. If a customer is asking for specific things, so such as, dear Rototherm, can you send me a technical data sheet for X, Y, and Z? Jeffrey will scan our database, find the correct spec sheet, and forward it to the customer. So we're using AI agents, or again, in our case, AI employees, as our assistants. So we're not replacing the workforce, we're not firing people, we're not cutting jobs. In fact, we're increasing the number of jobs, but we removing the mundane tasks and questions. So same behind me, this robot. In a traditional factory, you probably replaced 3 jobs. In our factory, it helps those 3 jobs. So instead of poor Helen walking around with a trolley breaking her back, the robot does it. Helen can do more advanced things, more things that she likes, stock take, maybe picking, packing, and so on. Does that sort of answer your question?
It does. I mean, it's not just it's not just answering my question. This is resonates with me heavily because this is exactly what we're building as well. We are not humanizing, which is actually quite an interesting take on this, but we're doing very similar. So I called AMIS is the autonomous. Sorry, no. Agentic market intelligence system. So this I had 21 agents. It actually looks and connects to like LinkedIn's and emails and various engagement tools, and it does exactly that. It does not replace sales colleagues. It works as a sales support layer that enriches the content that brings them the up-to-date information that they can act upon. It prepares the briefs before a sales meeting, for example. It analyzes trends. It picks up whatever. It reads dozens upon dozens of newsletters that we receive every day, or what is happening with industry, what's happening with clients, what is happening with suppliers, and so forth. This is absolutely critical, and it's amazing. This is exactly the stuff that I'm glad that I found this kind of a soul that has a similar kind of thinking and vision. We have another one. Again, we're not humanizing. I call it Wingman, as opposite to, because Microsoft has Copilot. we toyed with that thought. It's like, well, inside the platform, because it's a logistics marketplace, but it's also a logistics orchestration platform. So you actually have a lot of routine logistics tasks, and you may have a co-pilot, but co-pilot in aeronautical terms is like it's the person who sits next to you in the same plane. And yes, the co-pilot does things that you don't have enough kind of hands for, but it has less autonomy than a wingman that pilots its own plane, and he can cover your back and do something else and actually fight on his own, makes his own decision, has more freedom and so forth. So, but this is very interesting kind of agentic thing. What do you think? Well, that is us getting back to people, how revolutionary that thinking is within the business, because you said your business is 100 years old,
Hmm.
more than us.
Hmm.
What did you say? It was like, it's almost 150, isn't it?
1847, yeah, yeah.
1847, precisely. It's like
Hmm.
170 years old.
Hmm.
Nearly 180 now. It is very well. It's obviously set up, I presume, as a very traditional, highly respected, very successful. But that kind of transition, that's maybe where alien comes from, might feel alien to some people that have been doing things for decades very certain way. In supply chain, this is exactly one of the barriers for us, is adoption of very novel concept.
You are listening to Chain Reaction. This podcast is brought to you by Phlox, the leading marketplace for the supply chain and logistics industry. Visit phlox.is to find out how you find the perfect supplier or make your services available to prospective buyers. Thanks for tuning in. Now back to the show.
So we talked previously about kind of AI and agentic setups and the technologies and how it plays quite a big part. Now I'm even better seeing the kind of the house that you guys have designed and built for the Dreadnought. So how, because you mentioned also kind of the humanization of the kind of the names of agents, and we also talked about the business being quite as almost 170 years old now. So traditionally in supply chain and logistics, especially in that space, the businesses are quite resistant to change, to adoption of something highly innovative, and many people are scared of AI replacing people's jobs, so they try to be protective and so forth. So how do you make sure that the people that are benefiting the most from the system are actually seeing the benefit and not resisting, not sabotaging, not trying to play against it? So how the whole transition has worked for the business?
Again, our sort of the foundation of the entire business is people and culture. So people first. Um, I think the beauty of that is everybody likes improvement. So during the first 15 minutes of the shift, nobody's allowed to work. You have to spend 15 minutes improving. So that's that cultural mindset of I'm trying to better myself. I'm trying to better the company daily. Um, in terms of automation digitalization, we started our journey about 3 years ago, and this was a very big cultural impact. Not everybody was on board, so they on board of improvement, but they didn't see the value add of digital things. If you don't see something physically, it's difficult to put a price on it. You see it on a computer screen, but you don't know if it's doing anything. It's easy to see. I got a mobile phone. It's physical. I can play with it. And this is where the humanization helped a lot with us. So we having a bit of play. So the robot behind me called Giraffe because it got a long neck again. And people see, oh, it's not an AGV or whatever. It's not a AGV 278. It's a giraffe. And people say, oh, the giraffe is driving past. Same concept applies with AI agent, our AI employees. So we got Alfred, Jeffrey, and so on. People will say, I didn't speak to Siri 789. I've spoken to Alfred today, or Alfred helped me with this. So it's a bit of a play. So people start seeing a familiar face, and again, interacting with as if it's a human. So subconsciously, I would like to think they would think, oh, I'm speaking to a human, not to, AI bot. And I think by encouraging that sort of humanization of physical or autonomous things makes it a lot easier to treat them as maybe as pets per se. So it's a lot easier to incorporate them into your business and into your culture. And again, it's a bit of a fun thing. So when we named the agents, who looked at famous butlers. So again, Alfred is the Batman's butler. I didn't name it. I've put out a poll in a company, and somebody came up with that name, which again is cool. You're empowering people. They can see that their decisions have an impact. And I think progressively, step by step, people embrace the new digital age.
That's very interesting. What in your experience? Because I understand you touched, you talked about kind of the use of kind of AI and agentic setup for kind of part of human relations. Because you mentioned HR, you mentioned this part. How do the tech? What kind of role does tech play in? Because you also mentioned lean and a production, sort of in specifically in improvements the way the business is running on a shop floor, the way the business does procurement, the way the business does logistics, the way the business inventory manages. So what role, what applications, what problems that the AI or agentic setup helps you solve?
I'll quickly touch on the physical automation because that's the easiest one to explain. So again, you see the robots behind me. They solve purely transportational or movement of products from A to Z. Again, traditionally you would pay somebody to push a trolley. That's one, you're disrespecting the person because you're not challenging them. It's just a mundane task of pushing the trolley. And two, the goods might arrive slowly, or they might arrive damaged. So again, physical automation solves those problems. A lot of, again, physical automation of actually assembling the components together. We now thinking differently at R&D stage, where we designing the products to be assembled by a robot, not by a human. So there's a lot of different R&D changes, which actually helps the humans as well, because if there's no robot, but we designed it in a simpler version, it's a lot easier for a human to assemble it as well. So you get the both wins. In terms of digital space, so again, AI and sort of any data mining, data analytics, this has transformed our way of procuring things. Traditionally, you have a min-max level or a safety stock of something, and so on, a reorder point. We have fluid reorder points and fluid safety stock. So Alfred would tell me at the end of each day, looking at different patterns in the market. It's connected to the news, so it'll tell me, oh, did you know in beginning of July there'll be a new 50% tariff on stainless steel material. It'll immediately prepare a very simple, easy to read sentence, would say, this is what market is doing. I suggest you might contact X, Y, and Z to negotiate better prices. Again, data analytics, where it used to be a team of 3 buyers constantly going line by line of 10,000 plus unique raw material components in a warehouse to see if we need to reorder it. AI can look at the data in fraction of the second and tell you exactly where your weaknesses, where your strengths are, and so on. In a warehouse space, you can look at the cubic volume of a product that sits in the shelf and then look at pick paths. Well, previously you have to have maybe 30, 50 different Excel sheets. You have to zip through them, huge formulas. Alfred just looks at all of the data immediately and looks at all of the factors through the factory and tell you the best solution for that. We're using this concept called andon. So an andon is, again, a concept from lean manufacturing where anybody can stop a production line if they have a question. We have a digital andon. So anybody who has a question from sales, purchasing, HR, somebody on the production line, they have a question, they log what the problem was, and they log how they solved it. That is fed into our AI agents. And at the end of the week, it will tell the managers or a leadership team what were the top problems that week, which problems you should focus on fixing. So next week, we will already try to fix the problems so they'll never happen again. That was an easy, that's just a statistical model, but plugging it into a generative AI, knowing your sales order book, your purchase ledger, your purchase order book, the stock that you have in a warehouse, your works orders, how many people you got in a shift, training matrices, operating procedures, putting that into one AI agent will then tell you what problems you might have next week. So we're solving our problems before they even happened.
Getting in front of the problem, that is exactly one of the things that we are aiming to do as well, and it's absolutely, I think this is one of those killer applications of AI is exactly that. How can you avoid the problem from occurring in the first place? Because anybody can, well, not anybody, but like people tend to fight fires that already happened. And very often it's already too late. You're solving the problem. You're solving you're not necessarily addressing, some might, but you're not necessarily addressing the issue that caused the problem. First of all, you're solving the problem.
Yeah,
That'll
you don't have
Exactly.
time.
You don't have
You don't have
time. You
time.
have it has become expensive. Somebody is already unhappy, or something has been damaged, or the money has been lost, or the products have been lost. So you're solving that problem and you try to mitigate, mitigate for the downside, or limit the downside. But the best solution would be that the problem hasn't occurred in the first place. So you caught it before it actually happened. That's the best thing. And obviously all the businesses kind of behave and operate differently. So what can you actually, this is interesting, can you quantify in some form the benefit of this effort, either on kind of subjective or absolutely objective level? I don't know, the amount of, I don't know, pounds you saved or something.
I'm looking at the screen next to me. I won't move my camera, but I'm looking on my screen. It has the Alien Dreadnought Command Center dashboard. That's a mouthful as well. And what this dashboard shows me is number of robots we have live, number of hours it saves, number of errors we save per year, um, number of training hours we've reduced, and the standard return on investment. So now, if you look in specifically at giraffe, so we got 3 giraffes, and the return on investment on the giraffes currently sitting at around £101,000 annually. And that's a simple robot that just goes back and forth through the factory. If you're looking at data operations, so we automated this is just for one production cell, we automated how material gets engraved on a laser engraver. So imagine a piece of metal, it goes into a laser engraver, the piece of metal twists, and then a laser engraves different QR codes, serial numbers, and so on. For that process, a team member would have to do a CAD drawing, enter a huge number, it could be 30 digits long. They've laser engraved, and then they decide, oh dear, it's upside down. So that's a defect. So that one tiny little tool that took about, I think it took something like maybe 4 days to make. That has now saved us 223 non-conformance errors. So imagine there's 223 errors that could have left the building, gone to the customer. Now that customer won't be very happy.
No, it's not. Yeah, it won't be very happy. No,
Um,
absolutely.
the digital add-on, so anytime we have a question, we press a button. I think year to date, we pressed something like, I want to say 9,500 times we stopped the production line. Now that could propagate into 9,500 defects that left the building and went to the customer.
That somebody would have to then explain and work away, or
Return,
return, or give
explain.
discounts, or
Yeah.
somehow smooth it
So
over. Yeah.
the full picture, is probably in the millions if you think about in terms of annual savings. If you look at all of the overhead costs where you have a senior manager speaking to a customer, um, trying to tell them it's going to be okay next time, but you don't know if it's going to be okay next time. You might lose that customer. Um, what's even worse is if it's not okay and you're working in a dangerous environment like we are in, oil rigs, for example. If the product is not okay, it could potentially kill somebody. So you can't really put a value on that.
It's high stakes. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely. No, I mean, this is absolutely fascinating, and this is one of the very few times I'm actually hearing about both very, very advanced yet very, very practical approaches to use AI kind of in a manufacturing in a manufacturing and supply chain environment. Uh, Very many kind of conversations I had were, I mean, the most basic use of AI was, okay, well, it helps me write emails. Well, okay, that's wonderful, but it's a start. The very next advantage that people use, and that's pretty much where majority stops, is, okay, well, I can do a bit of analytics. I can chuck an Excel spreadsheet at it, and it will answer me a question, or it will help me to build a spreadsheet or something like that. But that's it. But that's barely scratching the surface of what the capabilities could be. And it's amazing that you guys have done that. So how painful was it?
Um, For me personally, not very. I think the pain comes into the original data cleanse or knowing what data to look for. Traditionally, ERP systems through manufacturing or the system that runs the entire factory from purchasing to sales to accounts and so on. The data is very, very messy. So the difficulty was less in terms of onboarding people into using this tool because very quickly people can see that it helps the day to day, but it's getting the facts and data correct. Um, we went through a huge amount of effort of data cleansing. Um, yeah, that's probably the where the sleepless nights were, and we're still going. We're not perfect. We still have a huge amount of data. Again, like I said, our company is from 1847. We have some technical drawings from the early 1930s, so it's still a lot of digitalization and data cleansing to go through. But yeah, if I'm honest, I think if you're passionate about something, it's never a difficult project. Um, and for me, I'm quite fortunate. I'm passionate about these things, so it's more of a hobby rather than an exercise, if that makes sense.
I definitely sense the passion in you. I mean, I think it's on the other side of it is you are working in an environment which is kind of fertile for these kind of things. You said that when a new management kind of took over, or the latest idea was around kind of lean and Kanban, and things around that, which helped being kind of receptive to these kind of modernized innovations, because the approach to drive continuous improvement encourages people to think laterally very often, or at least to think in terms of improvement rather than, I've been doing that for 20 years, why would I change? It's been working so far. No, well, it has been, but it's not going to tomorrow. And that's that. It's very hard to recognize. No, I completely understand kind of where you're coming from. But one of the questions that I always love to ask to ask my guests is in kind of in a business environment. But let's imagine that you have a magic wand, and you can wave it, and one problem will just disappear, and will solve something. So what, or the obstacle will get removed. So what would that be?
So in our business, apart from the obvious getting more money for the toys, more investments, I think the if I could just wave the magic wand is the remove the 100% remove sort of the emotion from people of being scared across the entire business world of getting something new to play with, and equally put it's kind of like an adventure. You know, you're the Robinson Cruise. You want to you sailing somewhere and you want to find a new piece of land. Sort of have that adventurous mind approach where I'm just going to try to play with it. I'm going to find I don't know, a new prompt in Claude. I'm going to play with it. I'm going to buy a new robot. I'm going to play with it. So get sort of that mindset in people.
Oh, that's interesting. That reminds me of the, like, literally of the episodes on Clarkson's farm that I've seen yesterday. So it's the last season, and I think it was episode 3, where he goes to Netherlands and looks at the latest automated ways how to do farming. How to you have an automate you have drones, you have robots, you have the ways that you actually measure soil, and you just fertilize it in very, very different ways given where the soil conditions are. But it does take quite a brave soul
Hmm.
to think and adopt these kind of things.
Hmm.
It was a fascinating discussion, and
Hmm.
thanks for joining us.
Thank you.
Thank you for talking about the challenges. Thank you for talking about such advanced things that you guys are building. It's been absolute pleasure, and thank you to everyone who's been watching. It has been a long episode, but I hope you really liked the topic that we talked about. Thank you for staying with us. Thank you for listening, and I hope you found the discussion insightful and sparked few ideas at your end. And I hope and I look forward to welcoming you again in the next episode of the Chain Reaction podcast. Thank you. And thanks again, Zen, for joining
Thank
us.
you.
Thanks for tuning in to Chain Reaction. We hope you enjoyed the show. Don't forget to like and subscribe. If you have a story or insights to share from your sector, we'd love to hear from you. Simply reach out to us through the links in the description. See you next time.